What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's Sith Council. Man, we got a good one today. I got my buddy Jamie Costa on the show in person. Mike and Steph, they missed out, so F them. No, I'm just kidding. They'll be back soon. But Jamie was nice enough. He texted him yesterday. Said, "Hey, man, can you make it? We can make it to the studio." He's like, "Yeah." So I got Jamie here today. We're going to be talking about a great many things. We got a lot to talk about. There's, shoot, man, D23 is right around the corner. You got some news. Obi Wan was talking. Obi Wan, well, I guess so. Ewan MacGregor was talking about Obi Wan. Said the original story was about Luke, just Luke, and they changed it. Dave Filoni says he was responsible to preserve and continue George Lucas's philosophy, and he wants to make people feel happy. I think that's a nice thing. We'll talk about that. There's stuff about visions and a lot. But you guys had submitted so many great questions, and I can't wait to talk to you about it. Now, if you have not already done this, please do this. I need you to do this. Head on over to the big thing. It's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. You see that? Look at that. Got all the episodes there. We put this show over there. We put Capes and Cows over there. We put Big Thing Proper over there. And we need you guys to go on over there and subscribe. Head on over there, subscribe, leave a comment, do the whole thing. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, then why haven't you? 70,000 subscribers, that's what we're trying to get to the end of the year. If we do it, we're going to start going on tour, stand-up comedy, this show, Big Thing, Capes and Cows, the whole nine. So make sure you get on over there and do it, because we want to see you. We want to see you on the road. All right, let's get to it. It's me, it's Jamie Costa, it's Sith Council. Let's do it now.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus, makes you stronger.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Big Thing Sith Council. It's me, Kristian Harloff, but enough with me. I keep telling you, Jamie's not really there. The hell he is. Look at that. You got a wide shot. You got a close shot. Like that. Oh. Can't even do it. Yeah, I'll pull it back. How you doing, brother?
I am doing well, man.
It's nice to see you. You came all the way out here, and we finally got you on the show. We've been talking. We talk Star Wars so much on text. It's unbelievable.
Yes.
Yeah. So how you doing? What's the latest?
Man,
Get that microphone in your mouth, will you?
What's that?
Get that microphone to your mouth, will you? There you go. That's it. Let's
I don't know anything about voice work.
What do you know about the voice work? I got to fix your shot. It's driving me crazy. That's on me. What did I do here? So yeah, tell me what have you been up to?
Oh, all kinds of mischief.
So, like what?
You've seen a trailer recently, right?
I have, and you posted that, so I didn't know how much we could talk about it, because it's.
You can talk about it.
We can talk about it. So you have this great thing coming up, and you know what, Jamie? Just watch this. Watch what's going to happen. Watch. You want to see this? This is going to be amazing. So Jamie has this movie coming out that he shot with the great Jake Lewis,
That's right,
who also did the Robin thing that you guys saw, and now he's got a new thing working. And tell us about it.
Yeah, it's a wonderful piece that the Lewis brothers, Jake and his brother, whooped together and produced, directed, wrote. And I got to star alongside Sandy Danto, as you know.
Yes, I know Sandy from the Comedy Store.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, we have a good time, and it's a Hollywood legend of sorts. Kind of.
I know the story. I know the story. But again, how much can you reveal of the story?
Well, I don't want to reveal too much.
That's fair.
But since it's a short film,
yes.
But yeah, the trailer pretty much says a good bit about what it's about. Two Hollywood legends are kind of locked up amidst shooting Jack's first film that he directed, Going South.
Okay.
And there's just issues with Belushi, and Jack basically has to talk him down.
I love it, and that's exciting. So that's and as people don't know, you should know. Jamie is a chameleon. When people say, and even somebody in the comment section, which I think people do all the time, I say this anytime Josh Robert Thompson's on the show, anytime I talk about you, I do not consider you an impressionist. You are an actor. You are a chameleon. You the two of you guys are both able to do. You have this. This comes from love. You are a mutant. You are. I describe you as an X-Men, because what you do is what Mystique does. You don't. I'll do Gary Busey and I do a voice. I do not become his face and his. I don't do that. You somehow Owen Wilson, you turn into Owen Wilson. You and I did a stand-up comedy little segment at the last Flappers thing.
Yeah.
And I was in awe because I'm just standing there and I'm like, it's like, all right, I got Kurt Russell with me, and so, all right, pal. It's like, so it's how'd you before we'll talk a lot of Star Wars, but I know the fans want to know, and this is driving me nuts.
Yeah, go for it.
There you go. Put that right in your mug.
Check.
There we go. How'd you do it? How'd you realize it? How'd you know that you were immune?
I don't know. It's I actually, one of my first stand-up sets was me explaining that discovery of impression stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
It's really just a channel of expression and love and celebration for these characters and stuff, the movies and things that have touched me and whatnot.
I remember you saying that. I remember
Yeah.
you saying that it's not that you like sit and go, okay, well today I'm going to learn how to do, so and so. It's
No.
like, no, I love these movies so much. I love these things so much that does it like record in your brain like the movements and because look, there are certain people like Robin. You look like Robin.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you do. But it's bizarre. Like if I ask you to do, a thing with, like I said, Kurt Russell, it's like you answer like them, but your face becomes them. Like how does someone do that?
I think there's a level of contortion to
Yeah.
capture and relay feelings. It's also the filmmaker in me too. When I do stuff, even Star Wars fan shorts and stuff like that, I really, everything in me wants to make sure I relay the feelings and things that I felt when I first watched them and stuff. So like Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
Right.
I explain this too. Like when I'm acting in more grounded depiction of these roles, when you start to veer off the impression gimmick and more towards like a grounded performance.
Yeah.
It's still trying to make sure it's still mirroring the feelings that you can connect with.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a copy and paste of a line, but you can do Robin, in any of his characters, really. I feel like I can hop right into the seat because I know the movies so well and what he was pushing towards us, and
Well, it's an essence.
it's an essence.
It's an essence, which is so bizarre. Like there's certain things like again, like I said, I do an impression of Arnold, but the thing is when I'm in that, I can answer questions like that because I'm locked into it, and I can like someone answer like there's certain things that I try to do like. So the great Kevin Pollak, I was on a show with him once, and he said easiest way to do Statham, you don't even have to be good at it. All you have to do at the very end is say, know what I mean, no matter what it is. It's like I was making eggs this morning and I feel on my feet. I might.
Yeah.
So as long as you hit that, you'll be all right. But I can't answer questions, and I can't have his swagger.
It's so funny doing impression because I loan that credibility out to the people like Josh Robert and Caliendos and folks who are really truly masters and more, I think, funny with them.
You don't put yourself in that category?
I think I let people put me in that category, but I don't do anything of that nature I don't promote it. I don't try
I know,
for
but
it.
if you did, you'd be. I mean, dude, like you'll never say it, but you like there is nobody who, and I'm not going to ask you to do it, but there's nobody. You are the Michael Jordan of Robin Williams in general.
I'm
no
honored
one
for that.
No one touches you.
I'm honored.
I've seen some great ones.
But but I guess I mean in the more the if it finds its way, I'm so in. But I don't try to go run around town and say,
right. That's not what
I can do these things.
Did you ever audition for Saturday Night Live?
I actually did a showcase on Hollywood Boulevard.
Did you?
Yeah, only just because I got invited.
Right.
I was like, yeah, all right. I mean, if I got invited, it's an honor. So I didn't want to turn down the honor. But
How long ago was that? Can I say? Can I ask?
Right when I moved out here.
Oh, right when you moved out here.
Yeah,
Okay.
Like a few months after, actually.
Well, they're stupid for not hiring you.
No, I don't mind. I actually like the route I take.
I like it too, but
Yeah.
I still think they're stupid for not hiring. All right,
I don't know. I don't do as much of that as you think, but I love it. Don't get me wrong. You know me. We
I know.
love to banter,
I know you.
but
I know your
only when it's
yeah.
only when it's timely. And
Of
it's
course,
fun and-
of course. I know your passion is it's acting, obviously, and it's writing, it's directing, and it's like
all of it.
It's
right?
all of it. It's creating.
Impressions are micro celebrations of these people,
Of
and
course.
these feelings and these characters and movies.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen I've done a T-Rex on stage, so
Yeah, I certainly have. It's amazing. I love what you're doing out there. But all right, so Jamie's here though to not just talk about all the great stuff that he's doing. Obviously, we can. If you haven't seen, speaking of Star Wars, Jamie has also done an amazing Obi Wan Kenobi film, and it was just called Kenobi. Yeah.
yeah. Which is why I wish the show stole it.
Yeah.
Did it?
I wonder if they didn't
use that title.
I wonder if they didn't because of your thing.
I don't
wonder.
know. I feel bad if that's true. But
I wonder. Well, you shouldn't feel bad. You got to it first.
to me, it makes sense. It's
Yeah, right.
It's no longer Obi Wan.
No, I know.
Series.
No, and they called him Obi Wan too much in that series.
Yeah, it's
Too many times. Like Reva's screaming at him about Obi Wan and all that stuff. Hold on a second.
Well, that's a name I heard last week.
As I was on the run. Okay, we're gonna get into this stuff. Let's talk. The first thing I want to do actually, where I'm gonna go is I'm gonna go to Star Wars Newsnet, because Star Wars Newsnet has some stuff going on, and
I've not been keeping up with the new stuff. You said that originally the show, one of these things says the show used to revolve more around Luke or something.
I saw this last night. So let's see. Here you go. This is it right here.
That's bizarre.
So this is Ewan MacGregor reveals that Obi-Wan Kenobi original pitch was about Obi-Wan and Luke, and this is from Grant Davis over at Star Wars Newsnet. Ewan MacGregor has revealed the initial story for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney Plus was going to focus on the Jedi Master's relationship with a young Luke Skywalker. The actor also praised the cameo of Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn, reprising the role in live action for the first time since '99's The Phantom Menace. Talking at the Fan Expo Boston, at Tipped Sci-Fi and Fantasy Gazette, MacGregor explained that he was initially told the series would be predominantly about Obi-Wan watching over a young Luke until there was a creative shift in the project's development. His comments indicate that he was more than happy with the change. It was going to be a story about me and Luke. It was always going to be that, and it was one of the genius moments where everyone went, wait a minute, and then changed it. The creative shift towards Obi-Wan rescuing and protecting young Leia happened to give Obi-Wan a reason to leave Tatooine and go on a journey across multiple planets. There has been buzz, including from MacGregor himself, about a follow-up to Kenobi. The series was a big success for Disney Plus, with the finale being among the most watched on Disney Plus thus far. So, with the way the series ends back on Tatooine, a story about Obi-Wan and young Luke could still be on the cards if Lucasfilm chooses to do more with the characters. Speaking of endings, MacGregor praised the show's return of Liam. Qui-Gon. So MacGregor expressed his excitement on learning he would go to interact with one of his former co-stars. Liam's a hero of mine. When I was growing up and wanting to be an actor, I was watching Liam Neeson's work, and he was involved in some beautiful work as a younger actor. And so to get the chance to work with him and to have this great relationship that we got to create together is fantastic. And to get the chance to work with him again on the series right at the end. As it stands, the ending of the series sets up a possibility of a follow-up with Neeson playing a larger role, with Qui-Gon having finally returned, blah, 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 blah. Okay. All right, so there's a lot to kind of break down here, I think, in general. The first on the side, well, I think they kind of nail it inside of this report, right? I don't want to see an Obi-Wan season 2, especially if they do, no Vader. You can't have Vader anymore. And I was a big advocate for Vader in the first series, but you can't keep doing that. You got if you're going to make it, if this is going to be season 2 of him with Luke and Qui-Gon kind of teaching him the ways of the Force and everything, okay, I don't know how interesting you can make it, but maybe you can make it interesting and a little dialed down. I know there's going to be a lot of people that hear that, oh, they should have kept it about Luke. It got so silly with Leia. I thought the young girl was fantastic as Leia. I thought she was really good as Leia, minus the silly running around in the woods scene, but that's not her fault. And I think it did give him an excuse to get out. I think they could have. Did you watch the edit cuts of there's a few cuts that people made that turned it into a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah, I heard about it. I didn't see it.
Pretty good. Pretty
I feel
good.
like I already made those cuts in my brain, though.
Well, you and I talked at length about the music, right?
Yeah.
So there's one, the shot that both, a lot of different cuts. Our buddy Kevin Smets did one, and a few other cuts, but they all did the same thing, which I thought was brilliant. So that scene when Leia falls and he catches her with the Force? The Force theme plays in all their cuts, and it's just so much more effective. So much more effective.
Or when he's explaining the Force to her,
yeah.
Which is one of my favorite moments in the series, when he's like talking about it's like a light when it turns on. That's how it is when you're clear vision with the Force.
But you hear these comments by Ewan that originally it was about Luke, and it switched. Good, bad, indifferent?
Well, to be honest, I think less is more for either child. except for in the series. I think there was too little for Luke. I mean, the whole marching orders that Yoda left him with in Episode 3 was the premise of the show.
Right.
And the premise of the show, as far as we heard from Yoda, was, hey, you're going to go look after Luke.
Right.
It became a whole different thing, you know, like he wasn't even there.
And it kind of contradicted the whole
protect Luke.
Yeah,
you know?
well, it also kind of contradicted the whole thing of when Obi Wan says, "That boy's our only hope," and he goes, "No, there's another." Yeah. He knows clearly. You know, there's another. You were running around with her on a.
That's a point, actually. I mean, yeah, focused on much. Yeah, that's actually the strongest point I think I've heard yet. Is like, yeah, the boy's our only hope.
Why would he say that? He knows.
He's been thinking Luke forever.
Right.
And if anything, they could have explained in this show why he would be like, oh, right.
Maybe
not Leia.
Yeah.
She's going to be a different.
Right.
She's choosing a different path. And even show that, where she doesn't choose to go into. It's almost like they could have done a whole nother option, you know, for instead of saying, kid, you're going to be in the Force, you know, maybe they start saying, would you like to be in the, you know, Jedi? And then she was like, I'm going to stay over here.
I think he had, I thought.
She didn't know anything about that till later.
No, but I thought the girl was great.
Yeah.
I thought the girl was great, but
great
I thought they they could have still involved her in the show the same way that they did Luke in Boba Fett, right? Oh, yeah. Having her have like her own side adventure on Alderaan while Obi-Wan's off doing other stuff, but I just thought they involved it too much. But that's neither here nor there. But
I do. I think she was involved too much.
Too much.
Just plainly, if you watch the films, it doesn't really equal out.
Yeah.
I think less is more for her on the show, and then I think that they should have given a few more lines over to Luke, or a little more involvement, or a little more protection.
He doesn't really do anything except kind of almost get killed by
Nothing.
Reva.
I mean, in my mind, like the scariest thing was like, you can't let them find out Luke's on, and that really didn't become a concern till like later. It seems till like final episode when Reva was already there. And then he wasn't there to protect.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that they did.
Yoda's like, man, you had one job, damn it.
And and then I thought they made they turned Owen and Beru into they were too tough. Owen and Beru get destroyed by stormtroopers who can't shoot anything. They get killed by them. They get burnt up, and yet they can almost take out an Inquisitor.
The only thing I would have enjoyed seeing that part of them is maybe if they had a Tusken raid on them,
something,
and then they defend the homestead once.
Right.
See, they got the farmer grit.
Yeah, just a little. That's it. But either way, so however it was, what the original pitch was, it does open up what Grant said, that if they do a season 2 and they focus more, so what I would like them to do, though, honestly, is they did play a little bit more. It seemed a little more prequel-y, the way that which is fine, the tone and the feel of it at times, right?
You mean not cinematic?
There were sometimes it was very cinematic.
Yeah,
and there were sometimes that it was very TV-ish, right? And it was very reliant on the volume a lot of times. And I'm so curious. I don't want to say like they should do it like Andor, because I haven't seen Andor yet. But
I was going to say that. I was going to shamelessly say,
but we don't.
I'm a little bit upset that Andor, Rogue One, all those things. I think Rogue One is so.
It's the best
beautiful.
Star Wars movie so far.
I mean, it's
yeah.
When I say beautiful, I mean
new
Disney's.
Yeah.
I think cinematically, it is one of the more beautiful films out of all the Star Wars movies, and it looks like Andor's the same folks, right?
Yeah,
same
Gilroy.
look and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit mad that Obi Wan
didn't follow that way.
Good.
Well, look, here's the thing: is that what I hope to do, and to be also to fair to Obi-Wan too, when they were shooting and when they were planning stuff, they were also, it was pandemic still and all that, and it still is. But I think that maybe and maybe Andor had the same. Maybe they were, because they did them in a lot of locations.
Yeah.
Maybe that it's a hybrid now. Instead of relying too much on the volume, they start to do more of the locations, because, like I said, Andor looks like what we were hoping for with Star Wars shows. That's what it looks like. I can't deem it the best yet because it's not out yet. Yeah. And I still love Mandalorian. Season 2 is some of my favorite Star Wars thus far. But I do hope that if Andor is as successful as the hype around it so far, that maybe they start to pay attention to that and switch over, which is very possible that they could. I just think that what I hope that they don't do is that what you could get carried away with, which a lot of people do, if you're an executive at Lucasfilm, and as that report said, Obi Wan was a very successful show.
Naturally.
But
it could have been shit and people would have watched.
I mean, probably.
I was going to watch either way.
I feel some people
in every episode.
Yeah, and I feel probably some people do feel that way, that it wasn't great. I liked the show. Didn't love it the way I thought I was going to love it. I thought it was going to be kind of the best. I thought it was going to be like the best type of Star Wars story that we had seen since like Empire. I was wrong, but I still enjoyed it. There's a lot of great stuff in Obi Wan. I'm not one of these people that just. I have a lot of issues with the series, clearly, that we just talked about. But I enjoy it. There's a lot of great stuff, and having Ewan back and all that. But I would have liked to seen it a little more grounded, a little more like, I think, gritty and serious the way that Andor looks, because it's a dire story. And there are times that they go that way, but it still felt a little more. And I think you're the one that told me this. You're concerned about the rating of it and how it was going to be a little bit more.
I was concerned.
Yeah, they did some stuff. That, I mean, look, Obi-Wan's in a fire, burning at one point and screaming, you know, like all that type of stuff.
Like they took it out on the wrong parts to say, hey, see, it is gritty.
Right.
It's like, yeah, it's gritty when you're, yeah, sure. Darth Vader's like melting skulls and things and stuff. But the
Cracking
gritty
necks.
is not, it was like the
Not
wrong
balanced.
read of, gritty. In my mind, and I think yours, we would have liked this grounded lore feel.
Like the way
to the movie,
the way that you
Or
felt
to the-
while watching the Andor trailer so far. The
and to
trailer.
me, it's actually one of the most significant parts of like linear Star Wars history. Almost, it's like this is like the thread of Jedi. You know, and so like to me, the stakes are so high. This is Nazi Germany with one person left to get the thing. You know,
Done. Yeah.
and Hitler's looking for that one string to burn, and that didn't come across in the show. That he was like, I don't know, that we were scared that Vader was going to find the kids.
Yeah, no,
That's
I know.
always been the big deal of Star Wars.
Right. No,
I knew, as the Emperor knew, that if they were to find the kids.
Yeah.
To me, that's the show.
I know.
And it missed it.
It did. And I think that's why it's like I'm hesitant about a season 2, and yet kind of like, okay, well, if they do go that more, like, did you see Prey?
Yeah, I liked it.
So did I. And the reason I liked it, my major reason that I really enjoyed it was because they didn't, and it was because it was streaming, and which is why I think streaming was the right move. They went back to basics. It was a smaller budget, small horror film about the Predator coming in to hunt and having one group, and it wasn't too big.
And they pulled on what they knew and heard, and little nuggets of cool shit to pull from and inspire it by, which was the little mentions in First Predator of like, in the hot months way back, she talks about the legend.
Yeah.
Boom. So they made the movie. And then in the sequel, Predator 2, there's like a pistol, obviously, that connects it all. And so, like, to me, that was clever use. I don't think Star Wars does that kind of thinking right now for their movies, where they could do these original movies like Prey.
Yeah.
Prey was a very original movie, but it spawned from what they were already sprinkled.
Lore. Yeah, and I think
they would do that.
They certainly do it in Mandalorian, and they do it in Mandalorian season 2, and I think that it goes back to this overall question of, do they need that one person that's really, I hate to keep saying it because it's what everyone says for everything, the Feige of it, but they need that one person that's, because everyone says, Filoni and Favreau. Yeah, but they work on their shows. Yeah. They work on, and even something like Boba Fett. Robert Rodriguez seemed to be the executive producer of that show. Favreau was listed. Filoni directed an episode or whatever it was. But like,
you see what Han Solo, Boba Fett, Mandalorian, which ended up being great. How the hell are all those getting made before Obi-Wan anything?
Because what happened with Obi-Wan? So Obi-Wan, when Lucasfilm was bought by Disney, I remember when I did a show, and I don't know if you remember this or not, but I did a show called Far, Far Away with Tiffany Smith. And this was on Geek Nation. This was like before AMC, before any of it. It was the first Star Wars show I ever did.
Yeah.
And I remember when the report came out, and we talked about it on our show, that the report was that they were going to make Boba Fett, Obi Wan, and they were looking at making a Yoda movie. Those were the three that they were looking at.
Right.
And I remember thinking the same thing. Why Boba Fett? Why Yoda? Focus on Obi Wan. And what happened? They even admitted so. After Solo, they should have launched with Obi Wan and not Solo.
I thought
You had the guy.
I thought that was a given almost.
You had the guy who played him already. Instead of casting someone who's got to follow in footsteps, you have the guy who already followed in
By all
footsteps.
means, even before Rogue One. How is that not the first thing? Whether
Right.
it's a show, movie, fucking short film.
Yeah. Well, we got kids on this. Listen to this one. That's all right. I didn't tell you. I didn't warn you beforehand. That's all right.
All right, I'll revert. How is it that, even before Rogue One,
Right.
that
No, I know.
we don't even have a
And then once Solo didn't do well, they were scared. They got
And why are we dictating things off Solo?
That-
You knew
that
that
was
was,
the-
so down the line.
because it's bad studio. No, it's bad studio mentality.
Putting out Andor and being like, this will tell us whether or not we should do an Obi Wan movie.
That's exactly what it was. It was bad studio mentality of, well, they don't want to see these legendary characters, and it's like, no, there's so many things that you missed that shouldn't have been done. That like a laundry list of Solo stuff. The reason why I failed, not Obi-Wan. You would have put Obi-Wan in at that same date,
But
even after Infinity War, it does so much better.
Online.
I know.
It's like it's 99% would say
it's true.
These things in order.
It's true.
Of which ones to get made.
I know.
So why would the studio choose to go against something that would make so much sense, like monetarily or whatever?
I think it's old school filmmaking business mentality, and that goes back, but it goes
business at all.
Well, but it is in the studio process on how on looking at numbers and crunching data and all that.
Based on numbers, I think
that decision?
an Obi-Wan show would, in any analytic, show you promise versus anything else.
Agreed,
before.
but I think that's a scary kind of creative where you think you look at it and you say, I happen to disagree with the sentiment completely. I just can see where the sentiment came from of, oh, well, we just did a Solo movie and no one cared, and then we're going to do it.
Before that,
Why not launch with that? No, I agree. You should have. You should have. Absolutely, you should have. That should have been the one if you can get. And he's wanted to do it forever. But either way, if they do a season 2, if it's a smaller feel like a Prey or like that. In Tatooine at this point. I wanted him to go off-world. He's done that now. Keep him on Tatooine now. Let him talk to Qui-Gon. Let him figure that stuff out. Some other things going on. It's got to be a smaller show. And if you want to do 4 episodes, you want to take a page out of Stranger Things and make them like an hour and 15 minutes. This is another thing with Star Wars. This hour and 15, this 32-minute episode thing they're doing, silly. Now, I just watched She-Hulk. Mm-hmm. She-Hulk is built for the Ally McBeal sitcom kind of episodic week by week. Perfect at like 28 minutes to 32. Perfect. It's built for that. Star Wars is built at least 45 minutes. At least. Because that was missing dramatically from Obi-Wan. Was, that scene when he's talking to Leia, and I bring this up all the time, but like where he revealed he had a brother. He revealed.
Beautiful little moment.
What a great moment.
And
those moments.
Away. That's like
but those moments were missing.
Show.
Those moments were missing throughout the entire show. You got them here and there. You got them with oh shoot, I can't remember her name, but the character you thought was evil, but she turned out to be good. Helped, and then she sacrificed herself. You found out stuff about her.
Wasn't it you? Somebody said I actually thought it was a good idea. I don't know if I heard this on your stuff or not, but that there may have been a little sprinkle planted at some point, but never happened. Of maybe Obi-Wan might dance for feelings with her or something. Maybe.
Yeah, I think Steph brought that up. Anyway, look, before we get into it, so you want to get into it? You want to get into it, people? You want to get into it with your significant other? Well, get into it with JOYMODE. That's right. JOYMODE.
Hello there.
That's right. JOYMODE is back, and we are excited to have JOYMODE back, and you should be excited that we have JOYMODE back. Listen to this. And I've told you guys this before. When you're out of the gas station, you're looking around, you look over, you're like, okay, what's this? Look at those pills. They're going to help me out in the bedroom? Yeah, I get it. They're over the counter, you see them, but the problem is, if you look at what's in those, They are not good for you. And the same goes for most of the products on the market that help to claim men in the bed. But who wants a 4-hour hard-on pill? Nobody wants that. I always talk about Arnold doing it. Come on, get over here. You got to take out the predator with this thing. I've been building it up. His heart problems, possible trip to the hospital just to get rid of it. Try to explain that. Get it down. JOYMODE is here to save the day. Whether you're happy or unhappy with your performance in the bedroom, why not perform even better? JOYMODE's Sexual Performance Booster. It's like a pre-workout, but for sex. That's the beauty of this thing. It's not if you have problems. It's like a supplement. It's designed to spice things up rather than a prescription drug that can have harmful effects down the road. It makes natural and science-backed sexual wellness products for men. And the Sexual Performance Booster is like a pre-workout again, but for sex. So it was created because the products on the market, not so good, and they knew they could do better. And the thing with prescriptions, they come with side effects, and the over-the-counter gas station pills, they're sketchy and a lot of times fraudulent. But guys take them just because it's an easy way out. So this is what you do. You just take you tear it open, the sachet, and you mix it with 6 to 8 ounces of water, just like your favorite electrolyte packet. And for best use, consume it anywhere about 45 minutes to 4 hours prior to sexual activity. You notice better blood flow, better erection quality and firmness, and increased sexual energy and drive. It's so funny. I've given my co-hosts this. I'm going to be getting a Christmas present from Winston for the rest of my life now. I've given them these. If you want to spice things up in the bedroom and boost your sexual performance and do it natural without any nasty prescription drugs, we have a special offer for the Big Thing audience. You go to joymode.com/bigthing. Enter Big Thing at checkout for 20% off your first order. That is joymode.com/bigthing for 20% off your first order. Thanks, JOYMODE. And by the way, do you know Gandalf from Lord of the Rings uses JOYMODE? I don't know if you knew that or not, but it's true. I actually have a testament from. Hold on, let me just bring this up. This is Gandalf talking about JOYMODE.
I use JOYMODE every time I visit the shower, and I must admit, it makes my staff stand straight tall.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. It was great to have you.
It's very great to have JOYMODE.
Yeah, see, look, Gandalf loves JOYMODE, and so should you. All right, let's get into some of these questions here, because there's so many other articles we could read, but we got all these questions. We're not going to get to it. So I'm going to bring it up. Let's start with Magnus. Poor Magnuson. I like that name. Does Jamie have any Star Wars short films in the works?
Star Wars short films? Yes.
You do? That's all you can say.
I do, and I can say a little more. It is a follow-up to our Kenobi short film we've made in the past.
Yeah.
And a follow-up immediate to the series we just watched.
Oh, that's great. So you can answer or not answer, but it's like a continuation of the series?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
It's hard to say it's a continuation of the series. It's definitely counting the series.
So it's the series is canon in your world.
Yeah.
Got it. Oh, I love that. Okay, great. I like that. That's great. Okay.
There's a little more time with, well, let's just say he completes his training that he will apply in A New Hope.
All right. There you go. So be on the lookout for that. And if you haven't already subscribed to Jamie's channel, you should. I'm sure that's where we're gonna find it when that happens.
Most likely.
Okay, cool. All right, let's get to the next question here. Thank you again, by the way, to Magnus, poor Magnuson. And so, people are asking, I put this out on Facebook and YouTube, so that's where these come in from. Okay, let's get to this next one. All right, Michael Ball. Rogue One showed us that the Rebel Alliance was much grayer than we realized watching the black and white good and bad version we saw in the original trilogy. Where, in your opinion, will Andor take us in that regard? Same level of means to an end, or something darker for Cassian and maybe the rest? I'm sure we'll see why Bail and Mon look at each other sideways at the mention of Saw in Rogue One. But does Cassian go down whatever radicalized rabbit hole that is and help him get back? Or will they actually show the things he's only suggestive about in the movie? If so, cliffhanger for next season. Okay, so this is what I'm very hopeful for in this season. I don't think Tony Gilroy is going to pull too many punches. I think the show is going to be gritty. I think that one of the concerns, rightfully so, for a lot of audience members are like, well, why do I want to watch a show about a guy that I know what happens to him ultimately in the end? Even though the show's called Andor, the trailers have shown this is just not about Andor. We're going to get Andor's story. We're going to get more so about how he got into the rebellion and all that, but we're going to see more about the rebellion. We're going to see about that it's all not just black and white, and that there have to be some shady moves made on both sides, right? We're going to see that fat cat mentality by the Empire of like they're in their prime right now, causing havoc, and learning more about them and those characters. And it's funny because I keep saying that I'm like, well, it looks like 3 seasons. I keep getting messages from people. You keep saying it's 3 seasons. It's only 2 because Tony Gilroy said at Star Wars Celebration, it's like, I want to do 3 seasons. And Luna's like, well, I was only signed on for 2. And it's like, I want to do 3. And he wants to do more. Now, right now it is it's talked about for 2. But they've got this thing planned out. And if 2 ends where it leads into Rogue One, then clearly it's just going to be 2 seasons. But as this guy asked, you think they're going to stay gritty, or will we go into what we talked about with a lot of these series? Maybe it gets a little more light. Maybe it gets a little less detailed. I don't feel that's going to happen, but how do you feel about it?
I don't know. It's I have no idea what Andor's about. Obviously, it's the rebellion stuff, but the rebellion, as far as I know, is a variety of slivers that make up, the alliance. So Andor, or the Rogue One, not so black and white version that we saw at the very beginning of Rogue One, that's just one sliver of the Rebel Alliance. I mean, even in Solo, they kind of show, surprise at the end, the switch up that some of those people were part of the Rebel Alliance or something, which I felt was a little bit of a gimmick. But anyways, so I don't know, and I don't know if it will turn into like Fett, where 3 episodes were not Fett. It was like more like we got to make sure we tie up some things. So I wouldn't mind if that happened with like we see some Emperor episodes or something. Like,
that's fine.
That could happen.
Oh, that's fine. Let's set up some characters and then take us into that. That's fine. Like, if you set up some characters that inside of it, and we follow them through the Empire, that was always my hope for this show. And I had said, like, look, if this is just a show about Andor, I don't know how excited I'm going to be about it. I'm like, I want to learn about him. I love Diego Luna.
Yeah, it'll probably dive into all kinds of interesting little side
the trailer
tracks.
shows you that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
It's an espionage show.
Do you think we'll see any of our friend Thrawn?
Maybe.
To me, this is the show that would be.
You could cameo him here, but I don't know if Filoni's going to allow him to be shown in a show before his show.
Oh, right.
That's the only thing.
So this is not really Filoni involved as much?
That's kind of going back to what I was saying. No. I think that they're doing the same thing now, and this could ultimately be a mistake. They're doing the same thing that they did with films. They're giving... Now, the showrunners and stuff are the ones who are just running it. All right, Filoni and Favreau, you run the Mandalorian universe and the Boba Fett thing. Deborah Chow, you run Obi Wan. You guys,
because it didn't seem like the movie folks were ever talking to the show folks much.
No, and it didn't seem like the movie folks were talking to the movie folks, like as well. So there are certain now. That being said, clearly, Filoni is going to be involved with Ahsoka connecting to like Mandalorian because of the angle that we already had, and maybe Luke kind of comes in and stuff that they're setting up. They're sharing their own thing, but it needs to have one group or person connecting it all. And even though Andor can turn out to be one of the best things that we've seen, it's not connected. Now Saw's coming in, and they're using it, but that's Rogue One, so he's connecting it to his own universe as well. And maybe they start to connect things. Like someone had asked, will like O'Shea Jackson Jr. show up from Obi Wan, and he could fit in, but I don't think he will. So it's very interesting, and I hope they don't start running into the same thing that they did. You do that, you guys do that, whatever you want to do over there, you do that. Put them all in a room. If it's Filoni, it's Filoni. If it's Favreau, it's Favreau. If it's Samantha Shushu, then have Samantha Shushu run the whole thing. Whoever it is, someone run the damn thing, because that's what they ran into last time.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a priority. Which is, their call, but it doesn't seem like a priority of theirs.
But it's like everyone wants to be Marvel, but nobody does what Marvel does. Yeah. It's like, okay, everybody wants the Kevin Feige, but no one puts a Kevin Feige in place. Or they try to. It's like, but the thing is with the Kevin Feige, I think it's harder, like DC. Like DC now, the guy over there, I call him, his real name is David Zaslav. I call him David Zoloft, right? And he pretty much clear he wants to find a Feige to run the whole thing. He had a guy over there at DC, but DC's a little harder to do because they got to set the whole thing up and they got to figure it out and they got to figure out their new plan. You have the people for Star Wars. They're right there. It's like it's that old school mentality of, well, certain projects will have certain directors and certain creators and certain this and who's the hot director. Oh, Taika Waititi's the hot director right now. Bring them in. Give them a movie. Okay, great. What are you going to do? Some goofy comedy? Awesome. You go do that. And what are you going to do? It's like that type of stuff clearly showed it didn't work for the new sequels. Stop it. But I hope that they get away from that. And I say this in great anticipation of Andor. I think Andor's going to be great. Yeah. But I wonder how connected, if at all, Tony Gilroy is with Favreau, Filoni. I don't think at all. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like... This is judging ahead, but it doesn't feel like the Obi Wan show will fit right alongside.
It does.
Which is technically
they're not 5 years apart, but they feel like no. I know what you mean. They feel like different.
Yeah,
universes.
Yeah, they feel like different comics.
100%. They feel like different. Like you look, and I hate to say this because there's a lot of adult themes in Obi Wan. Oh, yeah. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
But Andor seems like it's for the adults.
It is, yeah.
That's what I mean. It seems like that's
just so shame. Like I wanted that of Obi-Wan.
Right. So, but either way, all right. Let's get to some more questions here. But but I do think they're gonna dive pretty deep into the black and the more so of the kind of gritty stuff. This show, at least I hope. That's my hope for it. Sean Nicholson, when will they return to the sci-fi fantasy feel of the original trilogy? I feel like they've gone away more into science fiction in the most recent iterations, Force Awakens notwithstanding. It's hard to say. There are the sci-fi fantasy. I still think that regardless of what I think about some of the things.
Me crazy, but what's the difference here?
Sci-fi fantasy and sci-fi? Well, as Lucas always said, Star Wars is not science fiction. Star Wars is science fiction fantasy.
It's not Interstellar, yeah.
Right. It's science fiction fantasy, like the way the Lord of the Rings is fantasy this is science fiction fantasy, and with space wizards and laser swords and things of that nature. And what I will say, with my criticisms of any of the shows or not, I still think they play in in science fiction fantasy. I do. I don't think we're in Star Trek mode, and that's nothing in Star Trek. But this isn't Star Trek. There's some things that certainly do feel, and I like in Boba Fett, the tattoo parlors, the Spy Kid stuff, the certain looks and feels seemed a little more science fiction than science fiction fantasy, but.
Back to the Future 2 scooters.
Yeah, but I think for the overall tone, Obi-Wan, like the stuff with Luke and the Mandalorian, like all those things, it's still science fiction fantasy in my book.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's changed. I'll hit it with a bunch of criticisms, but that's not one that I'm willing to. I don't think that they've gone into science fiction.
Yeah. No, it's fantasy.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on, going to the next one. Thank you for that one, Sean. All right, this is from either George Lopez or Jorge Lopez. Darth Plagueis in Acolyte, yes or no? I believe the leaks. I also believe the leaks. I do think we're going to see Darth Plagueis in the Acolyte because of what Leslie Headland, showrunner of the Acolyte, it has been rumored to be and has spoken about how invested in the books, and when Kathleen Kennedy was talking about her, saying how she reads all the books and she's like a big Star Wars nerd. I've been looking for that forever.
Yeah.
I've been looking for that forever.
That's cool.
And someone who's like wants to bring in Darth Plagueis and wants to bring in Darth. The Acolyte to me is one of my most anticipated shows out of all of them because you're playing in the space that I have been waiting to see for a while. Now it's not Old Republic, but it's before the Phantom Menace, and it's about 50 years or something before the Phantom Menace. That would give you Darth Plagueis, and if they keep him the species of Mune, that's what George Lucas wanted him to be. That is what James Luceno made him in the novel.
Yeah, and
I hope they stick with that. I hope that they do. And someone asked this question a little later on, but Amanda Stenberg, Simper, I believe. I always mess up their name. But what I hope doesn't happen is that they are cast in a role that is Sith, and then they turn good. Please no.
Yeah, that's been done
I'm
a lot.
so that, and then protecting a child.
But Boba Fett. That's another thing about Fett. I don't think anything happened in that show.
Right. Not what was pitched. Not what was pitched.
No, it was pitched and it wasn't Fett.
Right.
He just walked around. He's like, "Hey, you. Guess what? My name is Boba Fett." And we're like, "Yeah, you said that like 30 times, like already." And then they're like, every time, like that's his thing. Like he just goes around. He's like, "I see you got a water problem. I'm Boba Fett." And then we're like, "Oh, I guess you're not even a crime lord. You're pretending like solving issues around town. You're a decent mayor who we are aware his name is Boba Fett."
Right. What's his name?
It's Boba Fett.
Oh, okay. But I think he was even tired. Tamor Morrison was like, I don't want to talk as much.
I want to know how many times he said the line.
I know. The problem,
like if we could get a tally
the problem with that is what I've said, those two, is that Favreau loved Boba Fett so much. He wanted to do a Boba Fett series, and they're like, well, you can't because of this, and the
well, that's
lore.
what Mando, I think, was.
Mandalorian
correct?
is Boba Fett.
Yeah, we knew
Mandalorian
that
is the Boba Fett that we always pictured. That's Boba Fett. That's the Boba Fett that we always envisioned, like was the bounty hunter that could cross the line, but maybe did some good things here and there. That's Boba Fett. But then they're like, well, we can't do two of them. I thought the best version of Boba Fett so far was the Robert Rodriguez version in The Mandalorian in season 2.
Oh yeah, because that was Fett. Because he was still.
He was badass.
Yeah.
And he came in, and the way that they shot him, the way they used him, he was still, and when he's fighting with, and Bo-Katan is lecturing him, and he's fighting with Sasha Banks, and the whole thing.
I'm shocked they didn't start the Fett show. You know how they were flashbacking a lot?
Yeah.
To his young self? No payoff there.
I know.
And
I thought the show was going to be flashbacks in each episode of different parts of his life.
That would have been rad.
The Book of Boba Fett.
Book of Boba
The
Fett.
chapters of his life. That's what I thought it was going to be.
And show him, because he does in the novel show up at very interesting times in history.
Yes. And he's done some shady
Vader's always hiring him and things like that, you know?
Can you imagine
show
that?
us some of that.
That's what I thought we were going to get. If they were going to get in between Empire, like when he sent him out on a mission.
That show this morning.
I know.
If they had that.
I know.
This is why I'm talking about business stuff. Like, I don't understand.
I don't know. It's like we want that might be now. I always give people.
Bane.
I know. I always give people.
With Cad Bane.
Yes. Well, I give people a hard time sometimes when they say, well, Disney's Star Wars and Disney's this. It's not Disney Star Wars. It's Lucasfilm Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah.
However, it's not to say that there's not we got a note from Disney, and they don't think that another show about like a bad guy or an anti-hero or something, so they're wondering, is it possible for, and I'm not saying this happens, this is just fan, I'm just saying you could see where a note where they're asking if it's possible for us to make Boba a good guy. And then Favreau goes, well, we could. Maybe what we could do is say, well, what if he had this thing with this, after he escaped the Sarlacc pit, and he came out and he said he was captured by sand people, and he learned inside of that there was more to it than just bounty hunting. Like, oh, that's a great idea. Let's try to do that. Now, I don't know if that happened, but you could see that those types of conversations do happen. And there are sometimes, no, we can't make him. He's Boba Fett. And he's a badass.
Because, I mean, everyone would have appreciated seeing Fett kind of have a soft side.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Like, here and there.
But
Tony Soprano had a soft side sometimes.
He got, besides lighting up, I mean, that was a pretty fun episode when he, comes and flies and lights up the crew. Right. You never can have it fully, because that ended up being people that were wrong people.
Right, they're all bad guys. Right, when he was wrecking people, when he would go into take out those bar people, you wanted to him.
Or something that didn't make any sense when he went back for his armor, even though he crawled out with his armor to the Sarlacc pit and blew up the Sarlacc. I thought it would have been way more fun if he just went back, knowing full and well he climbed out with his armor. Yeah, maybe he was unconscious and all that kind of stuff, but he crawled out with his armor. And then when he came back to the pit, I thought it was just going to be a brilliant badass move where he's like, "You mother trucker," just drops a bomb on it for the heck of it.
Right.
Like, I was stuck in you, you little.
And then took it. I mean,
But it wasn't. It was just more of,
no,
I got stuck.
I know, and it seems like it
Fett.
is things like that I'm just very curious about how they're gonna write it. That's why. Well, look, Andor's right around the corner, man. So maybe we're singing a very different song right now.
Yeah.
When it comes out, but let's go. But anyway, speaking of the Acolyte,
give me some Plagueis.
I think Plagueis is certainly possible. I hope that they don't turn Amandla good if they are indeed a Sith at all. But we'll see. Overall,
Don't count on it.
I know. But look, overall, I'm excited. I'm very excited for that series because I think there'll be Revan mentions. I think there'll be Bane mentions. I think that'd
be good.
I think they're gonna play like that's a show that if they are gonna play in that lore, it's got to be dark. And this is the showrunner of Russian Doll.
And it's not. This is where I wish somebody could coach. It's not dark for dark, as you know. It's dark because the lore is so. That's what
it's
the
asking.
nature of it is.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah,
that's absolutely right. All right, let's move on real quick. We have a couple more to go through. Artem Shakramanyan. I hope I said that right. Do you think that Lucasfilm might take a break from making Star Wars TV shows, movies in the future? 3 or 4 years break? No, I don't. Not now, because there's too much. Well, there's too much money in it at the moment. I do, even though it's like, oh, we're going to do a movie here. No, it's not happening. Patty Jenkins is getting a movie. It's not happening. Apparently, they are shooting a movie now. Now, whether that's Taika's movie or not.
There's a lot of things that they didn't do, right? Like Rian Johnson's trilogy and stuff.
That's never going to happen.
They
kept saying that.
Promised a lot of things, right? And they never.
They do that with movies too often. TV's way easier to announce and then shoot.
It's so funny how much gets promised, and then out of nowhere we get random new things like Andor or whatever.
Right.
Like,
Well, so I think that D23 is coming up. Are you going?
Maybe.
So D23 is September 9th and September 10th. 9th is like the Disney panel of like all the Disney stuff that they're doing in general, and then Saturday is the Marvel and Lucasfilm together.
Oh, okay.
Now Marvel's going to dominate that panel. That's going to be majority of Phase. I think
because they held out, right?
There was a lot of stuff they didn't. I think that maybe some Phase 6 stuff, or maybe majority of Phase 6 stuff, and then some Phase 5 stuff that they didn't announce. But and some TV show. They're gonna
probably a lot of X-Men unload.
They're gonna dominate the panel. But there'll be a couple of things. If they're going to do, they keep saying they're going to do a movie in 2023 for Star Wars. I can't imagine in a million years. But if they're going to do a movie, that's what they said. Taika Waititi. That's what they're saying. But if there was a time for them to announce what the hell this thing is, it's D23, right?
Yeah,
that's their thing. That's their thing. If it's another movie that's coming out, great. But I think that we're going to get a yes or no, or if Lando is happening, you'll get a confirmation of it at D23 if it's happening.
They base everything off of Solo. Except for Lando. It's like, I don't understand. Like a whole
Which
show.
is the best part of the whole movie was
Donald
Glover and Lando. It was the best part. And he embodied, that's what people always say, like, who argue that and again, I don't.
They didn't cast that the same.
No, they didn't. I thought.
Same way with the Obi Wan show. It didn't seem like they were, like, trying to focus hard on casting great everywhere.
Yeah.
Why not? Cast everything great.
I know.
Cast it all great.
Agreed.
Cast it all
but
really great.
I think that you'll hear something about that. We'll probably get a little bit more on Skeleton Crew, some more casting, but I think Acolyte will be if. I want to find out more about Acolyte. And they're probably going to show all the stuff they showed from Mandalorian Season 3.
Yeah.
They'll show that trailer overall. Ahsoka, you'll probably get a little bit more on Ahsoka, maybe an actual premiere date.
Good.
Ahsoka looks real good.
For that.
I loved Rebels.
Yeah.
And it's essentially live action Rebels is what this is.
And the live action of Ahsoka was amazing.
It was great.
Like that was one of my favorite episodes.
It was great. Yeah. Season 1 and Season 2 of Mandalorian I can rewatch. I rewatched that. If I can rewatch anything, I rewatched the original trilogy. I can rewatch the prequels now, which I couldn't do for a long time, but I can rewatch the prequels, and I enjoy watching them with my daughter a lot. Having harder time rewatching the sequels these days, but
I can't.
Yeah, but
there's nothing there.
I know it's hard, but Mandalorian Season 1 and Season 2, very easy to rewatch. The Boba Fett episodes with the Mandalorian and Luke, very easy to rewatch. There's a lot of things inside of Obi Wan, a lot of episodes that are easy to rewatch. So anyway, all right, let's move on. And before we do, no, not them again. They're the best, but not right now. I actually wanted to talk to you guys about private internet access. I've talked to you about private internet access before, and I'm going to tell you about them again. And boy, I'm excited that they are back with us. Today's episode is sponsored by Private Internet Access, which is the most transparent VPN provider on the market. And this is just the software that you need to protect your digital life. And a lot of people aren't even aware of this, but if you browse in incognito mode, you're not safe online. Your internet service provider is still storing your browsing history, and it can sell it to advertisers. But Private Internet Access encrypts your internet connection and hides your IP address, and it protects you. And all you have to do is connect to one of their 1,000 servers located in over 80 countries, and even a server in each U.S. state, so you can avoid sporting event blackouts, for example. Plus, you'll be able to get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content on streaming platforms, and Private Internet Access has a strict no-logs policy, and it's 100% open source. It's also available for all operating systems, and one subscription can protect up to 10 devices at the same time. So if you want to start securing your digital life, I have a very special deal available for all of you. You can get an amazing 82% discount on Private Internet Access. That brings it down to just $2.11 a month. And you get 3 extra months added to your subscription for free. And since Private Internet Access comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee and 24/7 customer support, it's all risk-free for you. So head to privateinternetaccess.com/thebigthing and get Private Internet Access today. That's privateinternetaccess.com/thebigthing. So what I also tell you guys, people are always asking how you help the show, whether a like, a comment, absolutely helpful. The
show some class.
Show just a little bit of class. Just an ounce, Jamie.
Just a little.
Just an ounce of class. But if you do show class, what you can do is you find a sponsor that is right for you, and I believe Private Internet Access is right for you. Get it, and then let me know what you think about it, because that's when I send it over to our podcast reps, and I say, look, we have another happy customer that did this, and then they send it to Private Internet Access. They send it to JOYMODE. I guarantee you're going to love JOYMODE if you have JOYMODE. But anyway, so go ahead and do it. Links are in the description.
Okay. I feel better just talking about it.
About JOYMODE? Or all of it. You should. You should. All right, let's get to 2 more questions, and we're going to let Jamie get out of here. So where is it? Okay. So we just got to that one. And now we're going to get to... Oh, well, you did that one already. You did that one. Where am I going? Hey, Jamie, this is from Clint Lamberson. What's your favorite Star Wars movie / TV show? So give one. What's your favorite season of Star Wars TV? And what is your favorite movie, Star Wars movie? I feel like we might land on the same ones.
Changed from when I was a kid. Now I can just watch Empire. I can just watch Empire anytime. Yeah. I can watch Empire Strikes Back.
Were you a Jedi guy as a kid?
I was a Return of the Jedi kid.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course. Is that when you watch as a kid? But Empire's my number one.
Yeah.
It's probably my number one movie of all time. In the same,
really good.
But Empire's my number one, and then my favorite TV show, Star Wars, is Mandalorian Season 2.
That'd probably be where I am at.
Yeah. If I was going to rank the shows, I'd put Mandalorian Season 2, Mandalorian Season 1. If I'm not including the animated, Mandalorian Season 2, Season 1, Obi Wan, Boba Fett. Yeah. That's where I'd rank it right now.
I haven't seen any of the animated stuff. Or actually, no.
You've seen Rebels, right?
I'm talking about the recent Vision. No, Visions.
Visions. But Visions isn't canon. But Visions is awesome.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of that stuff yet.
It's good.
But I do love the episodes where like Yoda and Qui-Gon are hanging out and talking and stuff on Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff is so deep
great
to me.
Like, Lucas was so involved in those too. That's why. Okay. So what was that? So thank you for that question. Let's get to the next one.
What's yours, Clint?
I don't know what his was. Albert Rodriguez, would you like to see Roken have a vital role in Andor, and Roken being O'Shea Jackson Jr.? I think it would make sense. It's only 5 years later. He wouldn't look significantly different, but I don't think they're going to use him. I think that Saw, the reason, they used Saw, but Saw was used in Rogue One. It's part of their universe. I would be pleasantly surprised if they did use somebody from the extended universe inside of TV, because it'll feel less separate to me, and it'll feel like they're actually communicating.
More than for a second or a name on a wall.
Put them use them. Yeah. Like use them the same way that they used. Now remember, Saw wasn't intended from the beginning. Pablo Hidalgo suggested it. They said, "Oh, we have somebody that's kind of an ex that I don't know, whether spy or whatever they were doing and had fought in the war, and well, we have somebody like that in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Can we make that person Saw Gerrera?" They're like, "Yeah, let's make Saw Gerrera." And then so they brought him from the Clone Wars. And it was such a big thing. I remember like when it happened, I was like, "Oh, that's great." And Pablo was like, "Well, we know we got somebody like that." I hope they do the same thing. Hey, it makes sense that let's use somebody from Obi Wan because there is in that time period. But I feel like, nah, Obi Wan did their thing. We're doing our thing.
Yeah,
here.
it might highlight it too much.
Yeah, and don't give me Bail Organa because Bail Organa was already part of Rogue One. Anybody that was already part of Rogue One,
maybe that'll help. I don't know if they did borrow something.
Bail will be in it. Jimmy Smits will be in it.
Okay.
He's got to be in it. Jimmy Smits has to be in it. He was in Rogue One. If he's in,
you're right. He was in Rogue One.
If they're in Rogue One, they'll.
That's a good point.
Yeah, if they're in Rogue One, they've got a good chance.
On that note, do you think we'll see deep fake versions of anybody we saw in Rogue One?
Well, they have a much better. It would look significantly better. And
do you think we'll ever get re-releases of Rogue One with
think
that
that they
guy
should.
going in?
I think that they should. I don't think that they. I feel like they feel like it's so taboo now because Lucas got so much crap for going back and doing it and making changes and stuff too. You got this
some
guy.
Of them were appreciated, right? Because I appreciated when they did it to
Empire.
Yoda.
Yeah.
So
in Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace, because he looked kind of creepy.
Looked weird. Yeah.
Distracting.
Yeah, they changed it up and it looked. I'd like them to change because you got that Shamook guy that does the deepfake stuff now, and if they can get him to improve, like to do basically what they did for Luke in Boba Fett, like that's some of the best stuff I've seen so far. If they're able to do that to go back and to fix the Leia one and to fix the Tarkin one, sure. And I hope that they bring in Tarkin. I think Tarkin will show up.
Yeah,
I think Tarkin will show up, and
probably.
I would love for Ben Mendelsohn to show up too as Krennic.
Oh, that'd be cool.
The only thing that I could see happening,
then we feel like Rogue One again, right? We too much like Rogue One.
well, you got to lead into it though. You're leading into Rogue One. This is all because
Mendelsohn.
Yeah, but they're even screening Rogue One. Bob Mendelsohn. Yeah, they're screening Rogue One in IMAX now. They just released the poster. It's coming out. They're re-releasing it for a preview to Andor.
That's cool.
Which is it's supposed to be like this is a Rogue One prequel. That's what it is. And
man, that would have been fun if they did that for the Obi Wan show.
I wonder if somewhere probably did that. But
episode 3 or something.
But the only thing that would negate a lot of what I'm talking about here is like if Callus showed up from Rebels. Remember Callus? Callus is like the.
I wasn't into Rebels as much.
Oh man, you got to go back and watch Rebels.
I watched various episodes.
You got to go back and watch the whole thing. It's such a good show. But and I think that could potentially lead into Ahsoka because the one character that has not been talked about in Ahsoka is Zeb. So Zeb was the original design, the Ralph McQuarrie design for Chewbacca, which is like this kind of crazy alien that they used in Rebels. I forget the species. They'll scream it at me in the comments. But at the end of Rebels, him and Callus go off, and you don't even hear about Zeb showing up in Ahsoka. I think Zeb's going to show up in Ahsoka. I think he'll show up, but I think that Callus could be set up. This is the type of stuff that if they could absolutely use Callus in this show in the rebellion at this point, and Hera could show up in this as well.
Actually, I see that happening.
Hera's mentioned in Rogue One.
I see that happening.
Chopper's in Rogue One.
Yeah.
So,
do you think they'll probably take this opportunity since they have a new game coming?
Yeah.
To do any Cal tie-ins?
I think for this show, and I'm usually
Obi-Wan. My
I think you keep Obi-Wan out,
but I guess not Obi-Wan, but the
Inquisitors.
Yes.
Maybe Vader and all that stuff too. I think you keep this, and I'm usually always show me Jedi, show me Force, show me this. I think for this show you keep them out of it. I think you let this show do basically what Rogue One did, and that's minus the Vader scene. You let it rely on what it's really about, and that's the espionage, that's the Empire versus the Rebellion, and the politics. Like, I don't want that stuff in this show. I want it in general. I want it all over the place in the Acolyte. I want to see one of the things that really gets me excited about the Acolyte is that during the High Republic, we're going to see for the first time since like the prequels, we're really going to see the Jedi in full swing, running around with sabers and.
It makes me nervous though, because since they haven't really proven that they are really well handlers of lore being tied into the movies and the shows. I'm hoping that whoever they are loaning out the keys to for that kind of thing, I hope they're responsible with it. Acolyte.
So one of the reasons I have such hope, and I had a lot of hope in Deborah Chow, and I still think she's a really great director. I really do. I think her Mandalorian episodes are great. It might have been maybe too much, too fast to take your own show, and I don't know if you ever ran a whole show before this.
Well, I mean, we never know where it stops and ends of limitations and who's.
But Leslie, from The Acolyte, she'd run a show before, a successful one, a Russian Doll, and a darker show. So I got hope with that one. She knows what she's doing. I still think Deborah Chow's a very good director. It might have been, and I was singing the praises. I was like, this is going to be incredible. I thought she did a good job.
Yeah.
Not as great as I wanted it, but she did a good job.
Yeah.
But I don't think she's ever run a whole show by herself. This woman has.
Yeah.
So that makes me excited.
Yeah,
all right,
that's great.
One more, and then we'll get the hell out of here. All right. Jeff Buss. When James Earl Jones eventually retires or passes away, let's hope it's many years from now, who could you see replacing him as the voice of Vader? My first thought is Dennis Haysbert or Andre Braugher. Now,
aren't they already kind of doing that?
So, yes. So that's what I was going to say. Now, the first side of that was both of your suggestions, by the way, were great. But Obi Wan proved to me, anyway, that you can keep her in James Earl Jones
forever.
Forever.
He's around.
Because he didn't do the voice for Obi Wan. They used that program, and for Vader, it didn't work as well for me with Luke because Luke sounds a little bit too robotic. Vader's supposed to sound robotic.
Yes.
Vader's supposed to sound mechanical. Yes. And Vader sounded like my big concern. I love James Earl Jones. Love him.
Yeah.
But in Rogue One, Darth Vader sounds.
They were trying to get as much out of him.
He sounds older.
Yeah.
He doesn't, and he's supposed to be Vader Prime.
It worked enough.
It worked. It
wasn't what Obi-Wan sung.
When
Vader
Vader first shows up, and like I said earlier in the show, there are some things I didn't like about Obi-Wan. There's some things I really liked, and that was one of them.
When
he shows up, and he's talking to Reva, and basically that was young Vader.
He was dialed. Not even just voice, which obviously
movement and all that. Yeah.
Movement.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
Like you said, I think you said it once. Or he's very Empire. He's very the peak Vader.
The Vader move, the Empire move, was the one at the very end after he burns Obi-Wan and he gets away and he does this quick turn away.
Yeah,
he's out. It was very reminiscent to the stuff I liked in the OT. But so the answer to your question is they've already found a way to make that work, and now you can use his voice forever.
So I'm wondering, since that was so good, you think they realized how good that they did of their Vader?
Yeah.
Would you ever pitch a Vader series?
I would love to see a Vader series. I would love to see my Vader series would be kind of based off of the Lords of the Sith novel, where he's first really becoming Vader, and him and the Emperor get stuck on a planet together. At the same time, Sham Sudala, Hera's father, is fighting a war in the sky or in space, and having this dual. He is ultimately responsible for kind of kickstarting the rebellion and all this stuff too. And then Vader and the Emperor have to fight their way off this planet together.
That's cool.
And the whole time, the Emperor is just playing psychological warfare in Vader's head and just corrupting his brain. There's still kind of some pure thoughts in there, but they're getting quickly. Yeah, it's a novel by...
Singes him further towards Vader.
Yeah. Paul S. Kemp wrote this, and it was one of the first canon novels that came out. And it was great, and so that Vader I like to
explore. Is it still canon?
Yeah, it's still canon. Okay. That was one of the first one when they released new canon. That was one of the first. I think it was New Dawn was the first one. I can't remember the second. The second one might have been Lords of the Sith, but it was within the first 5 novels.
Oh, that's very interesting.
And it was when I thought they were going to and no one promised me this. It was just my own interpretation that I was wrong. I thought when they made this a big announcement that of all the canon stuff, that everything was going to be canon, all the novels, all the books, all the games. I thought that meant because we're going to get these books, and then just like Harry Potter and everything else, we're going to adapt them.
Oh.
They don't pay attention to them.
Oh.
They never pay. They bring in, like I said, they'll bring in characters sometimes here and there, but they don't give a crap if they negate anything in the books or the comics. They care if they negate stuff in the TV and in film, but they do not care if they negate stuff in the books. They don't care. Like, oops, so what? Who cares? Who's reading that except like 15, maybe 10% of people, if that.
Yeah.
Who cares? Like, Filoni does not care about the novels. He can say that he does, but he knows he doesn't.
It's so interesting because that, to me, that's the weight of what carried Star Wars is the folks that are the total fans, you know.
So there's so many. They have so many writers that work like, and I always and people are and the counter to this when I say this in nauseam how I believe that they should be adapting their books into series or movies or whatever too. And the argument to the fan is, well, a lot of this stuff is canon, so you'd have to negate it. Why? Why do you have to negate the canon? You just what you don't understand.
Creatively apply it.
Well, let me use Jamie as an example. Up until 10 minutes ago, Jamie was not aware that Lords of the Sith even existed, the novel, right? And was excited about the idea of it. Now, for someone out there who has read Lords of the Sith, how much of it, if you read it recently, sure. But if you read it 5 years ago, how much of it do you really remember? Like, right? That's part one. And maybe you go back and reread it again. That's fine. But if you adapt it with the stuff that's canon and inside of it, and then kind of still stay in of maybe add some new scenes that aren't in the book and play into what comes into and adapt it, have someone write the script, you could absolutely turn that novel. Look, again, there are tons of stuff that happen inside of the Harry Potter that you're like, oh, well, that doesn't happen in the book, or, oh, I wish that scene would have happened, that was more detailed. If you adapted a full novel into it, that was the first thing people always ask, what would you do if you're an executive, if you for one day you're an executive and you had any power to greenlight anything at Star Wars? I would say today we are just greenlighting series based off novels.
Give me the coolest books and we'll rank them.
Get Claudia Gray in here right now, and I'm going to have her write 10 scripts for this, for that, for this. I'm going to bring in other writers that I would be adapting.
That Thrawn trilogy.
The Darth Plagueis novel, the Darth Bane trilogy. I would be adapting all of these things because it was still the thing that drove me the most nuts at all the things that, like, I'm not one of these people that like Kathleen Kennedy needs to go, right? But I am like sometimes she says things, whether she's throwing Alden Ehrenreich under the bus or these other things that she's saying. But the thing that she said that I was like, what? I don't know if you know Sebastian Maniscalco, the comedian, but like I immediately. Why are you saying that?
Oh, when she said the quote about we don't have
source material. She said we don't have. She's like, unlike everything, we don't have source material.
I honestly
turn
my heart
around.
Hurt when I heard that quote.
It's like, what are you talking about? You don't have source material. What are you talking about? You have tons of source material.
If I'm not mistaken, one of the most source material franchises
so much
of all time.
Now, again, the argument what she could counter is. We weren't based. No, the counter could be what I was saying was we were not based. We didn't come from source material. We came from an original idea from George. If that was the save, right? But it played like turn around. You've got tons of books. Grab one. Grab some screenwriters and throw like
comics.
Yeah, like everything. You got tons of it. You got tons of use. None of the comic stuff like the Black Chrysanthemum or whatever his name is. The BK from Boba Fett.
Yep.
Obi Wan, Boba Fett and him have a history in the comics. They played in that 1% book of Boba Fett. Give me a chapter on it. You have it. Take it from the comic. It's right there.
Yeah.
It's right there. Show me how. Like Obi Wan gave him the scar. Borrow Ewan MacGregor for a scene and shoot that scene.
Because you can use the argument of like you were saying. There's only 15 people that have read that one thing.
Yeah, it's right.
Comparative. And
no.
So you're not going to get, like, you don't have to feel sore. And even then, we all know, even films like Lord of the Rings can adapt the books with being very, very original feeling.
Marvel does it all the time, dude.
Yeah.
Like, look at the, like, Thanos and all that all came from comics. Now, again, the argument for people that are listening, but the difference is they don't have to stick to canon. Again, You can maneuver stuff around,
Yeah,
at least
yeah,
taking
you massage it.
and if you take stuff from Legends, you don't have to stick to anything. Like if you did all these things, there's so much there that they are leaving on the table to try to do these new things sometimes, and it's like you have stuff that works. You have stuff that works.
That's why it's hard for me these days to like glue to the screen for Star Wars stuff. I used to buy the 4Ks or whatever right when they would release DVDs, Blu-rays, all of them. I used to buy them
because you were locked in. Yeah.
I was locked because I was a sponge for lore and for tie-ins and theory and all these things. It's getting hard.
Marvel, that's the thing. You can say what you want to say about Marvel. Is there a lot of it now? There is. But even with She-Hulk was a show I was not looking forward to. I didn't think that the trailers were that good. I thought the CGI didn't look bad, and I was like, I like Tatiana Maslany and I like Mark Ruffalo, but I don't know about this show. So well written.
That's cool.
So well written. But what they did really well in all 4 episodes, I like the first 2 episodes better than the second 2, but I still like the second 2. But what they did really well is they combined and they talked about their history and their lore.
Great.
They combined so much of their lore, and even in little conversation of things that had happened and piecing it all together and showing you this all matters. Everything you watched in the past and everything that you did.
What you just said.
Everything
this
matters. It matters. Everything that you did and that you invested in, you just got rewarded for that. Now, if you didn't watch it, you didn't. Maybe it went over your head. Yeah. But that's the type of stuff that Star Wars needs to do, and they have it. They have it. Like if in one of these creative meetings they were like, okay, you know what we're going to do? Maybe they will. What I'm hoping for and crossing my fingers is there's this moment in Boba Fett when Ahsoka says, or Luke says to Ahsoka, will I ever see you again? And she's like, perhaps, whatever she says, right? My fantasy booking, my fingers crossed, is that this is all leading to basically Heir of the Empire, like a series event that Filoni's going to lead us to with Thrawn. That eventually we're going to have this whole Thrawn Luke thing that happens after the events of Ahsoka. And you can play it into all that, like at the end of all of it. That's my hope. My hope is that happens. I don't know if it will, but it'll
be cool.
It'd be great. It'd be a great way to do it. Anyway, this is us fantasy booking here. What do you? So before where can people find you now? Because I know you do YouTube.
Yes, YouTube.
Yeah, which I got you. I got your link right there.
Sometimes at Flappers.
Yeah, we're gonna do another one together.
Yeah.
Well, we should do another one together. That was fun.
Another one. The beach.
The beach. Have you been hanging out at the beach?
Yeah, I'm going right after this.
Are you really? Which is your beach of choice?
Malibu.
Good for you. Look at you. See,
a little surfing.
Good for you. Living your best life. I like that.
Yeah, YouTube if they're hungry, if they're really desperate. Yeah.
Some good stuff over there. All right. So, and for you guys, by the way, if you didn't already do it, you should definitely check that out. But as I mentioned to you before, make sure you head on over to the podcast feed. So I was talking to our podcast people, and even though I know there's a lot of people here and a lot of people who are coming in now and new subscribers and all that, it is so crucial to help us out over on whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Subscribe over there. Download the episodes. It helps tremendously. Write us a review over on this page as you're seeing it right now. If you're listening to it on podcast, make sure that that's where you're doing it. It's very, very important. It helps out the show tremendously. And that's it, everybody. So, again, I want to thank Jamie. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already.
Show some class, guys.
Yeah, just announce. Who. So
a small spoonful.
I have Owen Wilson telling people to show some class in this next clip. Hold on, here it is. Ready? Here's Owen Wilson telling people to subscribe and to show some class.
Just get on the YouTube, scroll your little mouse over that little section that says subscribe, and then just click it, and then wow, you've shown some class.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. And thank you to you guys. So we shall see you on the flip side, everybody. It is Sith Council. Peace.